In the last lesson, we talked about how you record the purchase of merchandise in a purchases journal. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how you post from that journal. So here is a purchases journal. This is the transaction that we did in lesson 9.2, where we purchased merchandise from Win Lighting and recorded that in the purchases journal. As a review here, you only have one column in the purchases journal for the amount. And at the top of that amount column, it says purchases debit, accounts payable credit. And then you write the vendor on the line. So when you get ready to post from the purchases journal, you're going to post to Win Lighting in the accounts payable ledger that we learned about in lesson 9.1. So the first thing you're going to do is the date, and then you're going to do the journal page number. Now, in the first section of this book, where we use the general journal, our post reference was always G and then the journal page number. And this is where that whole G comes into play, because now we're using a purchases journal. And so that post ref is going to be P11, stands for purchases journal page 11. So that's going to come in really important when you're doing these, that you make sure you get the right journal abbreviation there. So you do the journal page number, and then you do the amount. Now we know that Win Lighting is a vendor, which is an accounts payable account. The heading up here says accounts payable credit. So this amount is going to be credited to Win Lighting in the accounts payable ledger. And so we put that in there. And then you figure your new balance. The accounts payable ledger, accounts payable has a normal credit balance. So it only has one balance column, and it says credit balance. So since that credit balance is there and you have a credit transaction, you're going to add these two amounts together to get that new balance that you put in the balance column. Then just like when we post from a general journal to the general ledger, the last step is to go back to that journal page and write that post ref there that shows the account number to where you posted that amount. Now at this point, you are not going to post anything to do with purchases or accounts payable in the general ledger. We're only posting that individual amount to the accounts payable ledger. Then at the end of the month, or at the end of the page, whichever comes first, you're going to total your purchases journal. You're going to draw that single line there to show that you're doing a calculation. You're going to do the date and the word total, and then you're going to add that up to get that total amount. And then this is the amount that you're going to post to purchases as a debit and accounts payable as a credit in the general ledger. So then you come to your general ledger. You have this purchases account in the general ledger and accounts payable account in the general ledger. And you're going to post that amount, that total amount, as a debit to purchases. So you have the date, the page number again, make sure it's the P11 for purchases journal. Then you're going to take that total amount, and it's going to be a debit to purchases and a credit to accounts payable. That is because that's what it tells us at the top of that column. Then you figure your new balances. Purchases has a normal debit balance. Debit transaction you add to get your new total. Accounts payable has a credit balance and a credit transaction until you add to get that new total. Then you're going to come up underneath the column total in the purchases journal, and in parentheses, you're going to put the two account numbers, because that tells us that we posted this to purchases and to accounts payable. Again, that last step is so important because that tells us that that has been posted. And that is pretty much all we do as far as posting from that journal. So it saves time. Instead of posting accounts payable purchases for every single transaction, you're doing the accounts payable ledger individually and then just the totals.